How are you guys doing? Is everybody having a great pandemic?
Pandemic.
Just me?
Lockdown.
Just me?
Oh, wow.
No. I'm Peter Saji. I wrote the episode Juneteenth, and I have with me the cast of Blackish. I have Anthony Anderson, Tracy Ellis Ross, Yara Shahidi, Lawrence Fishburne, Marseille Martin, Miles Brown, and Marcus Scribner. And we are going to talk about the episode Juneteenth in honor of Juneteenth. That is, well, I guess it's probably today that you guys are seeing it, but it's not today when we are recording. So Anthony, let me start with you. Tell me about why we did a musical episode about Juneteenth.
Hold on, let me call Kenya to get my answer. I don't know. I don't know why we did it other than the fact that, Kenya had come to me and said this is something that he wanted to do. You were writing it, and and we wanted to do something different and come out of the box like no other show has ever done to start a new season. And what better way than to do that than to write an episode about Juneteenth and perform it as a stage play and musical.
We raised their children,
then raised their buildings,
and they made billions.
I'm catching feelings.
Awesome.
Let me ask you this, Saji. I know you're moderating this.
Yes.
Why did you decide to write an episode like Juneteenth?
That's what I was going to chime in and say. I think that's actually a question for you, Saji.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys asking me that. It's hard to ask myself these questions, these tough questions. No, honestly, this episode was one that I think, if I remember correctly, Kenya was going to be on a Grownish a lot this season. And so I knew that he wasn't going to have the time to do this episode. And so I remember thinking, because we talked about the end of season 3, but we knew we wanted to sort of start it at the beginning of season 4 because we needed that time to allow everyone to rehearse. And so I remember spending hiatus just researching about Juneteenth because I didn't necessarily want to volunteer, but it was something that just seemed really daunting, but also seemed really, really important. And so I came in as we were talking about it, and I was like, this fact and that sort of fact. And so when I got asked to write it, first it was a tremendous honor, and then it was terrifying because it was like, okay, Hamilton, that thing that sort of changed the world. Okay, we're going to try to do that in 22 minutes, right? And I was like, oh no, do you know what I mean? Like, what have I signed up for? And but then I just remember sort of seeing all of you guys and what you were capable of doing, and just I remember one of the first rehearsals, and when Derek Watkins, Farnsworth Bentley was walking you guys through the music and the choreography. And it was just bottomless wells of talent. Right? It was like, it was like, oh, we're going to be okay. We're going to make it through this. And so yeah, it was really just came out of just, loving the show, loving what Kenya Barris had created and wanting to be able to sort of continue that legacy and do it properly. And then just having you guys have my back and being able to actually take the words and make them incredible. And speaking of that, Tracy, before you sang, right now, I guess you can be seen singing in the high note, which is on demand. Right? But
Settle down, Saji.
Before that, you sang these 2 musical numbers. Can you tell me about how it felt when you heard you were going to be flexing a different muscle, like a musical?
I'm not going to lie. It was a little bit anxiety provoking to think that we were going to shift gears. I think we do it so often on Blackish in such a good way, but this was something we hadn't done. So there was an element of, is this going to trivialize something that is as important as it is? Are we going to be able to do this at the level that would give it the honor that it deserves? And I didn't know if we could. We were trying something, and as you said, like, it's a daunting task to put all that into a 22-minute episode. We do it successfully. That's part of the DNA of Blackish. That's one of the things we do, is we take these very large sort of things and break them up into these small ways so that we can digest them. But I didn't know if it was going to be possible. I always love the challenge. It's one of the things I love about my job and the collaboration of the art form that we're a part of, is that it really is something that requires all of us. And, there's such a family and a love and a trust with our cast and our crew and our team of Blackish that it felt like it was something we could do, but I was anxious about it. Was it going to be cheesy? We were trying to do a stage play in a 22-minute sitcom. We're like, okay. But again, the trust that we have between our cast and the family that we have on Blackish, I knew that we could lean in there, but you never know how it's going to come together until it comes together. But it was worth it. I watched it again last night. It's a really beautiful episode, really powerful episode.
Tracy, not just a stage play and musical in 22 minutes for a sitcom, but the subject matter of slavery and emancipation and all of that, coupled with humor, horror, and everything that you can imagine. That is what makes our show special, because we have the cast to be able to pull that off. Because if you were to drop that in anyone else's lap, it was like, so you want me to talk about slavery? You want me to sing about it? You want me to be happy? You want me to be sad? You want me to tell these jokes? And you want me to do it in 22 minutes?
And learn choreography.
And learn choreography? Okay. So I think it's just a testament of the cast that, we were able to assemble, 7, almost 8 years ago now to start this journey. I'd like to tip my hat and applaud our entire cast in front of the camera and behind the camera for being able to pull these types of episodes off year after year after year after year.
Absolutely. And to that point, Marcus, there, just to Anthony's point, there were a lot of things we had to do. We had to talk about slavery, and there were jokes to hit. Like, one of my favorite moments was you singing Pyramids, right? Like, it was just like a
Pyramids.
It was a much needed, light moment. And so talk to me about your process. Like, obviously that's a tightrope. Talk to me about your process of approaching the seriousness, but also being able to hit those lighter moments.
I think, like everybody else was saying, it was an extremely difficult episode to approach. Like, I have no musical talents whatsoever, like, innately at all. Can't sing, can't dance, do any of that. But it's nice being an actor because you get to step into those lanes, because they're all different forms of art and they coincide. And just trying to learn how to bring the comedy into such a serious space was kind of, it was a tough process. Like, you didn't want to, like, upset people, but at the same time, I feel like one of the things that I liked about our episode was, since it was a musical, it felt more like a celebration of our freedom. But then at the same time, talking to people about how it really is. Like, we're still not free yet. There are still difficulties and barriers that we have to break down and push our way through. And I feel like our episode kind of, like, highlighted those, but at the same time celebrated the freedoms and celebrated Juneteenth like it's never been celebrated before. So try to approach the jokes with a light heart, try to approach them the same way that we do every single week, because we just have a tight-knit cast like that, and I know we're all going to play off of each other perfectly. So it was really just getting the singing and dancing down for me.
Fish, Lawrence, what was it like? Talk to me about what was it like walking on the sets for the first time to perform the musical numbers, like We Built This in particular.
Yeah, the thing that I remember saying to a lot of people, and I think you'll probably remember this, Anthony, is I got the feeling that we were actually making history. we were making history, not just in sense of like our television show. Our television show is great. But the fact that we took a subject like Juneteenth, musicalized it, had choreography, had music from Aloe Black, had music from The Roots, had a choir, the way Anton shot it, the heat. I don't know, you guys remember how hot it was when we shot that thing? It was like August.
It was slave hot.
It was slave hot. It was slavery days hot, exactly. I just kept saying to, I think it was Anya. I think Anya was our first AD on that one. I kept saying it feels like we're making history. I didn't know about Juneteenth until I was 18 years old or 19 years old. 19. I was doing a movie called Rumblefish in Tulsa, Oklahoma, of all places. I landed on Juneteenth, and some friends took me to a celebration there and blah, blah, blah. But it was not a part of history that I was familiar with. And I think the fact that we've done this episode and that it continues to be watched by more and more people as the years go by is really important in terms of bringing this part of our history, to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony, first of all, amazing quarantine beard. But
Thank you.
I'm doing mine. But talk to me about the table read.
Me too. Can you see mine?
Nice.
Mine is a little weak, but it's there.
Your hands are so fine, Tracy.
Can you see
They're so
mine?
great.
Can you see mine? Can you see
No,
mine?
Yeah, everyone's strong quarantine beard.
Miles, your beard is supposed to be under your chin, not on your top lip, son.
Mm-mm. It's right here. It's going on like one spot. It's like getting really long on this one spot right here.
There you go.
This
All
one
right.
spot.
Just keep drinking milk. No.
All right. What's your question, Saji?
And talk to me about the table read. How did it feel during it? How did it feel after? And how was the script received?
First off, the script was received well. Secondly, just like Lawrence said, in reading that script at the table read, felt like you were a part of history as you were making history. And then we turned to each other and was like, are we about to do this?
Are we going to do this?
Yeah, is this what we're really about to do right now? This is how we're going to come out the gate on them? So it was just, exciting. I was excited. My adrenaline was flowing because after the table read, then we had a week or so of rehearsal before we even got into production. So, and as Tracy said, it was anxiety ridden. Just like, okay, I really got to be on my P's and Q's now. Everything that I ever thought I wanted to be as an actor and become as an actor is going to be called upon for this particular episode on this show that we're doing. And I think it brought out the best in all of us, which I believed it would after that table read, because we were all just so excited to be able to do this and to take our swing at this, because this is all that we've ever wanted to do, was to move the culture forward with our show and to say important things and to be provocative and thought-provoking. And this particular episode embodied all of that and then some. So that's my answer to that. And then to finally see the finished product, it was just amazing. I was in tears watching it. Every time I rewatch it, I get chills. I'm getting chills right now speaking about it, just because of what it means and what we all had to do to make sure that the finished product was what it is, if that makes sense.
Oh, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. Yara Shahidi, I would like I'm calling everyone by your first and last name. Yara Shahidi, tell me, what's your most vivid memory about either rehearsing or producing or this episode?
Well, I mean, I remember it all pretty well, but I think what made the most impact was when we rehearsed on the stage for the first time. Because I think, as everyone said, we were getting all of this in increments, first feeling impacted by the script, and then we even had a studio session in which we were all singing the songs. But that first rehearsal after a week of doing all of these little bits in which the choir was with us, we were on this set, really spoke to how much of a communal experience even shooting this was, because I know people have said it before, but it really took everyone on their A game, cast, crew, everybody, and just another level of investment to even pull this off. So it was really beautiful to step onto that stage and to actually see, as we sang, we built this, what we built.
We built this. We built this.
Actually, this is something I'd love to hear from everyone. Marseille Martin, if you could go next.
Yes, it's me. Yes.
What is your most vivid memory of Juneteenth?
Oh, I don't know. I do know it like pretty well as well, but I think it would definitely be being at the studio, like singing it like all together, like as one. That I thought was beautiful because it's like we made a song. We made songs about something so powerful, and yeah, we did two. Yeah, we did two songs. Yeah, it was exciting. And
Roots did one.
yeah, hearing everyone sing was the best part for me. Like just hearing everyone in their like full potential, full it was like a full like whole moment for us, and especially for me because I knew about Juneteenth, but like I never fully understood it. I think I was 13 when we shot it, so I was learning about it in school, but not like fully. But it was very exciting because I was doing it with the people that I love, this cast, the crew, and yeah, it was just a full like love moment for me. And but my favorite memory was performing the song. I love that.
You know, it's so interesting. We went into the studio, all of us together, which was also really special because it wasn't like we all went in separately and did our thing. Like we all were in there together. We were all like, wasn't Jennifer doing like vocal warm-ups for us, teaching us how to open up our voices and do all these things with our voices? So it was really special to be in there together.
Yeah. Were we like harmonizing or something? Were we harmonizing?
We tried to harmonize.
Attempting to harmonize.
That was one of many moments where I just got chills, like watching you guys. Like, and you were all huddled around a microphone too, which just made it even more sort of communal feeling. It was incredible.
Which in this time we wouldn't do.
Exactly.
Right.
This was pre-pandemic. We were able to do it. Miles Brown.
Hello.
What is
Hello.
your vivid memory?
Hello.
Juneteenth?
I mean, that whole week was a really good memory. That was probably one of the craziest experience on set that we've ever had, or for me. But I think the craziest moment where I realized how big of an impact we were gonna have on this episode was towards the beginning, to be honest, because it was when we just recorded the two songs. And then we got back to the set the next day, I think, and then we heard it back, and we were all sitting in chairs next to each other reading, and we were all, I think, we all looked at each other and we were like, oh, so we're actually like we're really doing this, like we're actually gonna be dancing and we're gonna be singing on stage and all that stuff. So I think that was like one of the craziest experiences. And then on top of that, when we started practicing like with our props and all that stuff, Anthony with the broom and all that. I think that kind of just like our whole choreography was awesome. Plus, I kind of helped with the dancing. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where I came in, did my part.
You did.
But yeah, I think that whole episode was really important for all of us to learn and all that stuff. So yeah.
Okay, Marcus Scribner, please tell me about your most vivid memory of Juneteenth.
Most vivid memory. I think I always remember the studio session because of the fact that we were all like supporting each other, and that communal environment, that family environment that we've built up over the years. I feel like it makes us all better, and it really came into play this episode because we all got to showcase our strengths and help each other out with different things that some of us may not have been as good at. So it was nice to have everybody that you love like surrounding you and helping to lift you up. And I always, one of my favorite lines that we had to sing was Miles saying, "Plant my 40 acres and ghost ride the mule." I knew Miles was gonna get up for that.
Marcus, I swear to God. I swear to God. That's why I didn't bring up the studio session. That's why I did not bring up the studio session. That is not why I brought up the studio session. I knew someone was gonna say.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yes.
Bro, I was trying to do the lower octave, and they trying to get me to do the higher octave.
It was beautiful, Miles. It was beautiful.
The higher one. I wanted to do
Hey, Miles, you don't have a problem doing the lower octave now.
Yeah,
I know.
You weren't ready.
We can re-record now.
I was in between both octaves. It was bad either way. Could have been bad.
I was fired.
Yeah.
We also,
I'm on the lower side now.
I also think we need to, Jennifer is not here, but this episode featured one of the most important talents of Jennifer Lewis, the leg kick.
The leg kick.
Ooh, ain't that something?
Yes.
It was featured in this episode, and if you know Jennifer Lewis, or even if you don't, this is one of her main talents and skills among many.
Yes.
Tracy, not only that, but it was a kickball change leg kick.
Oh
Yes.
Yes. It was several moves in one.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a really big deal for this episode. I know Juneteenth was at the forefront, but B behind the A was Jennifer Lewis's kickball changing kick.
You should see that
Jennifer kick her kneecap to her forehead and keep her balance and do what she did. I was in awe.
Life-changing.
You should see the part when we were going back and forth dancing and we are just screaming "Go under!" Like that was the funniest part.
Oh yeah.
Was that for me?
It was a competition. Who could scream louder?
Well, you guys, let's be clear where that came from. That was so you could all get me to do it on beat. We worked that into the song so that I could get under at the right time.
We had the 2 and the 4 and not the 1 and the 3.
If you see our lips, so we performed that, you can see us screaming that while we were doing that part.
Support our friends.
Yes.
Yes.
I will say that Miles Brown's Ghost Ride the Mule was actually my favorite moment.
Plant my 40 acres and ghost ride the mule.
Thank you.
Because, you know,
Thank you.
Aloe Black, myself, and Derek, we wrote the lyrics together. And I remember being in the studio. We actually were in the same studio where they filmed We Are the World. And I remember, I was like, okay, I had Plant the 40 Acres, and I was like, something the mule. I was like, put rims on my mule. Like, we need a joke here. And Aloe Black was like, Ghost Ride the Mule. And I ran out of the studio and called Kenya. Because at that moment, I was like, this is going to be crazy. Like, this is going to be happening. You know what I mean? I was like, that's it.
Why me though? Why did I have to be the one to say it with the higher octave though? You could have
Why
got more.
not you?
Yeah, exactly.
You made an impact.
It was perfect.
It was brilliant.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Peter Saji, before you go on,
Yes.
not to blow your own horn, beep, but wasn't that song nominated for a Grammy?
We won a musical supervisor award. Actually,
There
we got that's I think the one award we won. Actually.
Wow.
But no, I have it. I think actually Anthony Anderson, you accepted it on our behalf.
You can just call me Anthony, Peter.
We can move to just first names now. I think it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, after the first 5 minutes, we got it. And then now it's just like, turn. Yes, I do recall presenting that award that evening. Yes, that was a big night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that was tremendous. But a fish.
Yeah.
Please tell us about your most memorable moment from.
So many that had mostly the best ones had to do with kids. my daughter was there a lot, and she was, I guess, 9 or 10, and she couldn't keep herself from trying to be in the number with us, which was fun. Your nephew was there, right, Tracy? And he was also trying to figure out how to be on the stage with us.
Yep.
So those two people, those two young people being there and seeing their enthusiasm for it, and everything was really great. My daughter was running around fanning Jennifer a lot. I thought she got a job fanning Jennifer. That was good, because Jennifer needed to
be fanned.
She needed to be fanned because that kick is, exhausting. One of my other favorite moments, and it was a weird kind of thing. It was about your earrings, Anthony. The conversation about your earrings.
Oh, remind me.
Remember, you had a couple of your beautiful diamond studs.
Yeah.
That you were wearing, and there was a whole conversation about whether or not it was appropriate or not, and blah 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 blah. And we went back and forth. You and Kenya went back and forth about it. I think we finally decided that the earrings should go, but then you had the great T-shirt that you see at the end.
I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. Yes.
Which is beyond. It's so beyond what our ancestors could have imagined, I think, when you think about that. So again, it's just the historical context of the whole thing for me. The fact that, we even approached something like this and that it's been successful is just, it's really gratifying. It makes me feel, like there's value in what we do as actors, that we can also, we can entertain and we can also educate people in this way. It's just a huge gift, and I'm just incredibly grateful for these kind of opportunities that continue to come up, that continue to present themselves throughout all of the seasons of our show, and Grownish and Mixedish. It's been really, really beautiful.
The Roots also did a song, and that clip is one of the most sort of circulated clips that sort of happens, and it actually educates people about Juneteenth, and it's an easily sort of digestible, shareable sort of moment from that episode. Does anyone know how the Roots got involved in this project?
I think Miles made a few calls.
Yeah, we're gonna just say made a few calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People
I just
got
texted
the
them.
plug.
Yeah. I just I was like, pull up, I'm saying? Just like pull up and do the song real quick, I'm saying? But yeah.
I will say that I wrote lyrics for that song, for the I Am a Slave bit that they did. And Black Thought recorded my version, I guess, out of respect, and then did his version, which we're like, yeah, let's do that one. I actually have a clip of Black Thought doing my lyrics, which is awesome. It's
wow.
I'll leak it for tens of dollars. But
that clip just feels, sorry to interrupt, so powerful, because even as a history nerd who I think grew up with the I'm Just a Bill, I remember how well versed I have always been in white history. And there's something about that clip in particular in which it was really shifting the paradigm of seeing our stories in the same format with the same level of gravitas and accessibility that we've seen all of dominant culture. And so I remember the first time seeing kind of what the Roots had done with the animation and being like, oh, wow, we're going back to change what's even in history books.
Mm-hmm. I am a slave, yes, I'm only a slave. They'll place my body in an unmarked grave. In these Confederate days, it's kind of hard to lift every voice singing while worried about how
to that end, Yara, why is it so important to normalize and celebrate this holiday?
Yeah, this may sound super random and it's going to make sense in a second. I remember my favorite book when I started filming Blackish was Catcher in the Rye. And I don't know what I thought I had in common with this young white boy roaming around New York. But I think it spoke to the idea that it was just so normal for us to have to see ourselves in people that did not think of us in writing these stories. And there's something about what Blackish has done from the jump, but even this Juneteenth episode in particular, of having this moment on primetime television to say that this is not only something that we as Black people should be able to celebrate loudly and proudly, but this is something that we should expect everybody to know. It should be an expectation. It shouldn't be applauded just because, oh my gosh, the white world's finally acknowledging this moment. This should be ingrained in our history. And it was really beautiful to see that, because it makes it more accessible. It makes these conversations more accessible. It makes it really a part of our dialogue.
Yeah.
I also, on top of that, and thank you, Yara, for articulating that so beautifully and adding that into a larger context, because I feel like, and personalizing it, you know, the more that we share our wholeness, the truth of our legacy, our history, the more we have an opportunity to heal in a really real way. Because so much of who we are, so much of who we come from has become, is not a part of the wallpaper of our lives. And so an episode like Blackish, we always do it, but particularly with Juneteenth, allows it to become part of the regular vernacular, not just for everybody, but even for us. And I think it's so important. And it allows myself personally, like, an opportunity to heal a place that had to be in the darkness, a place that had to be hidden away because it wasn't a part of regular conversation.
Yeah. Now, Tracy, do you have any sort of personal stories about how fans or people have reacted to this episode and what they've learned or how they've experienced it?
No, you know, I think, yes, I do, but I think more what I'm so excited about right now in the context of the tectonic shifts that are happening, and as the foundation is by design shifting beneath us, that the way that this episode plays into that larger story that we've all been fighting towards for justice and equality is just incredibly important. And sometimes, you know, that's the beauty of television. Sometimes we don't know the impact all the time of because it's in people's homes, you know, and there's a way that it becomes a part of just what people are experiencing. So I'm sure there's stories of people reacting that way, and maybe somebody else in our family here has those, but I think it's more in the context particularly of what's happening right now, how important it is to have this kind of material out there. Yeah,
and we're seeing it. I mean, you know, this is this is a holiday that I feel like most people didn't know about before, you know, our episode aired. And then you just had Donald Trump back off the holiday, you know, and that's a person who doesn't typically do that.
No, he's also worried about being elected. But I feel like so often white comfort trumps our liberal, I can't say that right. So often white comfort trumps our liberalism. I can't do it. Why?
Liberalism?
No, freedom. How about that? So often white comfort trumps our freedom. And this was, and Blackish all the time pushes on that comfort and that discomfort in a way that is so important. And yeah.
Does anyone else have any sort of memories of fans or people coming up and sort of sharing their experiences with watching this episode or what they've learned about the holiday because of it?
I think what I loved the most was just seeing the clips that from the episode circulate well after the episode had aired, whether it be on Juneteenth since that moment, since we aired, or even just in general. I think it doesn't even require us leading up to the holiday to see those clips being shared as a part of our history. And it's really beautiful because, just like Tracy said, it's such a personal experience watching television that oftentimes we don't know how people react once it moves into their homes. But I feel like that was an example, just constantly seeing how it's made an impact on people and how it's really integrated into our everyday life.
And building on top of that, even with like all of those clips that are being circulated and shared around, it's nice to look at the comment section and see what people are talking about. And everyone's like, why haven't we learned about this sooner? Like, why isn't this a part of our standard American culture? And it's nice to see that people are moving towards that and trying to make that happen, and even celebrating it in their daily lives now, which I feel like that is enough to start to create a cultural shift. So
I think one thing I think while we were doing like all the rehearsals and stuff, I checked my phone to see the calendar to see if it was true that it wasn't really on the calendar, and I looked and it wasn't. And then I think it was a few weeks after the episode even aired, I checked my calendar randomly and I got a notification that it was Juneteenth. I was like, wow, it's like we really like did that. So that was a really cool moment for me, seeing the impact that we had on that episode. So yeah.
It's also cool to see that it's not just like a certain audience that's watching. It's like their entire families that are looking at this, and it's like it doesn't matter what age. Like people are understanding and having like it's like a learning session for everyone. Even with my little sister, she was dancing and singing the songs and stuff, and like she didn't even know I don't know if she even knew what she was singing, but just the fact that she actually is like wants to watch it and like recognizes that it is something to look at. It's very cool, and it's very sweet that other families are affected by it as well.
I just want to thank all of you, not just for doing this, suffering through my moderation, but also just for honestly for your performances in that episode. Like I think, however long I work in this business, I think that will always be probably one of like my shining moments, honestly. And like even getting choked up thinking about it. You guys are incredible.
Well, thank you for writing it, Peter, and thank you for writing it so well, because it is. Again, it's going to have, far-reaching effects, for a long time. People are going to, really learn a lot and be changed by it. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Peter Saji.
Thank you.
It was an honor, Peter Saji.
Goodbye, Marcus Scribner, Yara Shahidi.
So long, guys. Good to see you all.
Lawrence Hilton Jacobs. And Peter Saji.
Thank you, Anthony.
See you guys in line to get our temperatures taken when we go back to work.
Yeah. Hey, guys. I just want to say before we sign off on this that it warms my heart to see all of your faces, faces smiling and healthy. And I just want to tell you that I love all of you from the bottom of my heart. And I just wanted to say that I love you guys.
We love you too.
Yeah, we love you
guys.
Virtual hug.
Guys.
Bye, TV family.
Love you guys.